No,
Light's
we
not
didn't.
on. The
The lights aren't on.
We didn't do the
Mine's
Pledge of
on.
Allegiance. Mine is.
Mine's working.
Mine's on.
Mine is not.
Mine's on.
Here.
Oh, okay. Welcome you to a meeting of the Enfield Aquifer Protection Agency for October 4th. It'll be followed immediately by a meeting of the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission. I call a meeting of the Enfield Aquifer Protection Agency to order and invite you to salute the flag with us. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As Teddy would say.
In case of fire, there are two ways to exit the chambers. To my left or your right, you'll exit through the council chamber doors, turn left, walk down a flight of stairs and outside of the building. Or perhaps the best way is to exit through the rear of the chambers through the double doors. However, in either case, once you're outside of the building, please walk a safe distance away from the building. Will the secretary please take the roll?
Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Peter Falk here. Kathleen Sarno.
Here.
Lori Longi.
Here.
Nicholas Pecos.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Ronald Gregory. Alan Drynan. Dominic Alamo.
Here.
Approval of minutes of April 5th.
I move approval of the minutes of April 5th, 2012.
Second.
Any additions, errors, or omissions?
I got a couple. Here, let me just dig it out. This book.
One page.
Page 6, paragraph 4.
No.
I'm sorry,
No,
wrong,
Oh,
we're in
September
the-
6th.
wrong meeting.
April 5th.
Oh, I'm
April
sorry.
5th.
Better take me a minute.
That's all right, we'll get there. Okay, before you vote, the
They look
question, Jose, on, we asked, you were going, you were going to attend a meeting, and you said you asked Deep what they exactly were looking for, and make sure it was done. I don't know, are you gonna?
No, I was going to cover that under staff report, but,
Okay, well,
no, since you're
that's
asking,
all
that's, it's a good, doesn't matter
Okay,
what
let
I
me
do.
do it under staff report. Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
6, abstain?
Abstain.
Yeah, you can vote, the chair's empty.
I voted yes.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
6, 0, 1. 6, 0, 1.
Okay.
Staff reports.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that were mentioned in those minutes. The first was the possibility of needing to get a registration for a transfer station, which is, I did find out from DP that it does need to be registered, because there's been some turnover in DPW, and and there's a lot of activities going on there, different activities such as composting, and that hasn't been done. I've turned it over now that we have Jim Luzak on board, who works both as the inland wetlands agent and civil engineer. He's taken it on, and he's going to handle it and prepare the registration. As you know,
Does the
we just-
dog park end up in that, because it's on that
No, the dog
property?
part was, I think, just on the periphery. There may be a portion of it that was on there. I think they kept it outside. The line, the aquifer line just goes through a portion of that landfill,
Okay.
a good portion of it, but I think a lot of the activities that we're doing there, certainly at Register, one of the things that we're required to do is certify that best management practices are occurring. That takes a little bit of...
So that's in the process, then?
Yeah, Jim has taken it on, and he told me he's going to get that application prepared so it can be registered properly. And all it is really is a registration. Anything that was operating at the time that the act came on board was basically grandfathered in if you registered it. So it's to the town's benefit that it get registered. That way, if we want to do additional activities that are regulated, we could do so. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do any more regulated activities or any new regulated activities. by being registered, the town can then come in and apply for a permit. So there's definitely benefits to the town to do that, so he's going to get that done. The other one I think we took care of was we had some correspondence back from DEP at that time regarding the jurisdiction on that Pride Station.
Right.
If you recall, there was some, I don't think we particularly cared for the answer, but but I think we resolved that issue.
Well, I'm just wondering if, what the relationship is between state DEP and Mass DEP. Because Long Meadow doesn't talk to us about it, and they're a good part of our aquifer.
Yeah, I guess in this particular instance, there wasn't an issue, but they should be talking and should be applying. The environmental company that's doing the work should be the one that's applying to the Connecticut DEP for any activities relating to possible spills or monitoring. Obviously, the gas station's right on the border, and the spill doesn't respect borders.
No,
If there is one. In this case, it was
down our way.
all the tests came up, clean, and there was no concern on their part.
As long as somebody's followed it, okay. Anything else, Jose?
That's it.
All right. Does anyone in the audience like to address the Aquifer Protection Agency? Is there anyone would like to address the Aquifer Protection Agency? Last call to address the Aquifer Protection Agency. Anything from the commissioners?
No.
None? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor? It's unanimous, 700. Okay, moving on, I'll call the meeting of the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission to order. And will the secretary please take the roll?
Charles Stern.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Peter Falk. Here. Kathleen Sarno.
Here.
Lori Longi. Nicholas Sakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Donald Gregory. Ellen Drynan. Dominic Alamo.
Dominic Lyon will be sitting in for the absent commissioner. Approval of minutes, September 6th. I think that's the only one we have.
Yep.
Now's your chance, Charlie.
That was my chance. Okay. Okay, page 6. Paragraph 4. I believe it was stated at AT and no T on there.
Okay.
Okay,
Just I'll note that.
just a typo. And on page 19, the bottom paragraph, I'm not sure what Mr. Geiner asked Mr. Penny if he was doing any regarding. What was he regarding?
Regrading, probably.
Yes. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Makes more sense.
Wasn't sure what he was
It
doing,
makes a
but-
lot of sense with that little word changed around. Okay.
Oh,
Got it.
that's it for me, unless somebody else got something.
That's it. Any further errors, additions, omissions? Hearing none, if you're ready to vote, all in favor? Opposed? It's
Abstain.
601. September 20th aren't on that desk, as I had a note that they would be.
Up there, they're on the table.
So a motion to table.
They weren't on your desk.
Make a motion to table the minutes.
No, they weren't on the,
Second.
they aren't on the desk and they're not in the book.
Yeah, we have, I'm sorry, we were going to copy them, but we'll have them in your packets next time.
Okay, so moving on, staff reports, town attorney.
We vote.
Yeah, we have this town attorney.
Have to vote to
We
table.
vote on
Oh.
the minutes.
Is there a motion to table?
I made the motion, Charlie seconded.
This is a second. All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, now we move on to Kevin.
There we go.
Welcome, Kevin.
Welcome. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On a rather wet evening. It was nice and dry when I left my house, and it got soaked between the parking lot and here. It's been at this point, it's been a fairly quiet period of time with regard to some matters. We did have the question of the poultry regulations, which we're going to continue to work through, and
Right.
to be happy to meet either with the committee as a whole or as a subcommittee. And I think we
I
tried
think
to.
Lori and Jenny would meet with one of
Sure,
yours.
yep,
And get it straightened out. I think it was just some verbiage and just,
And just to make sure, and one of the things I did want to talk about, and the reason I sent that memo out to everyone, is to sort of explain how we, when we get a proposed revision, how we in the town attorney's office work that through. Because it's not only trying to capture the stated goal that the commission has come up with, what you're trying to fix, but also to make sure that's not only consistent with the state statutes and the authorities that you have, but one of the primary ones is to make sure it's internally consistent with the zoning regs that have already been adopted. And we don't end up either with unanticipated consequences or an unanticipated result from how the language can work together on that. And that's something we try to be very careful with, because otherwise we'll have you guys coming back saying, how did this happen down the road on
to
that?
me, I
So-
think what happened was, and you called and explained it, I understood. But I think it was the format that it came back.
Yeah.
That previously, when we'd had things, it was words and then underlined or redlined or whatever, and it was,
And I think, it's absolutely right. We should have, the memo that I sent out afterwards should probably have gone out with the revisions on that, so you could understand while those were brought in and out
Yeah.
and that sort of piece. So that's something we're going to try to do as we go through this going forward on that. But I'll be happy to meet with Commissioner Longy and staff to
right.
tweak it out to the results you
Because
want.
as I said, that's really what we're trying to do, is allow people to have small animals such as chickens and
Sure. No.
Right.
whatever in the yards. Okay.
So, good.
Any-
Happy-
Well, I just was gonna say that, like, what I think the next step for us would be is, because I just asked Kevin about, he brought some very good points up that we didn't look at. So we want to go back, meet, and try to tweak and get maybe some better verbiage, and then try to meet with the town attorney's office and then bring something back to the
Right,
board.
Sure.
So
Yep,
that's-
absolutely. And I'll touch base with you tomorrow. We'll set some times up with Jenny
Okay.
and
That's
make
good.
it work for us. So-
That's
good.
Okay.
Any further questions?
So,
No? Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Stay dry.
Thanks. We'll get the chicken thing straightened out, yeah.
Just roast them and call it a day.
Okay. Zoning enforcement officer.
Hello.
Hello.
In a positive note, it's not snow.
It's true.
I just wanted to briefly touch on two things I've been working on. We seem to have in-law apartments. You don't really mention them in the zoning regs, but we treat them as accessory. Unfortunately, once the house is sold, the new owners truly don't know. They don't get anything at the closing that says it's an in-law apartment, you can't rent it. So next time you make some changes, you might want to think on changing the words. I don't know what you'd want to do with it, I'm just planting the seed.
No, I know, we've talked to that previous times because we know they're out there. And I've read that other towns have had this problem too, and I don't know how they're solving it. I don't know if Jose does or not, if they've ever talked at any of your planners meetings.
Yeah, right, Ginny's right. We don't have anything really codified. We've sort of been, use them and we've gone back, we find them, when Wayne in the 1990s signing off on the use of these apartments accessory, but, I think it's been limited to, direct family members, and there has to be some connection to the house, so it technically falls under the definition of a single family living under one household, so there has to be some kind of opening. Allow the person sort of to live semi-independently by having their own little space, but there's still a connection, and that connection is both familial, which is,
Right.
has to be someone that's a direct relative, plus also a physical connection. So therefore, they weren't allowed in detached garages, because then obviously it is a separate cut-off apartment. You're not really living as one household or have that connection, physical connection. So perhaps maybe, to combat the problem of new owners not knowing is allowing them under a special use that gets filed in the land records with specific understanding that the apartments for a relative only. We do have that duplex allowance in our regulations. If your neighborhood is already a duplex neighborhood, you can still come in and get an apartment. But for those people that don't live in neighborhoods that are predominantly two-family, three-family, perhaps you might want to put in an in-law apartment. I mean, it's everybody's putting them in their regulations. It's something that's good to have. Obviously, with the cost of housing
you
and
can
the
find
economy
out.
being what it is, a lot of people have to come back and live with their parents or something else and still want some kind of degree.
Does Craig have a record of what other towns have done in that situation?
That could easily be looked up, yeah. I don't know if
Okay.
CROG
Well,
has
see-
it, but I can go online and in about, in about an hour, look at
All right,
10,
see what-
12 different
see-
regulations
see
that
what-
that have
'cause
something.
I don't know, do we even know how many are out there?
No.
No, we wouldn't, because they weren't registered, unless somebody asks, and we look up the records and the files, and we say, oh, yeah, Wayne signed off on this in 1990.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've
okay.
actually seen on the assessor's cards that they list it as an in-law. So,
Really?
yeah, because
Sometimes they do.
they do, like, a lot of times it
Yeah.
would say, it'll say multifamily, and then it would say in-law.
Oh, that's good to know.
Problem is, I don't know if they
That'll
were-
give me another tool
See, the
to
assessor
verify.
goes and looks at what they've seen, not necessarily what's legal.
Right,
So,
but what I'm saying is
no.
if you were looking to try to get some idea of
Yeah.
how many are out there, that might be the starting point.
Yeah, because in one particular case in 1990, it just says addition. And we managed to find Wayne's verbiage, but you wouldn't be able to pull the street file and see it readily. Okay? And the only other thing I had to bring to you is landscaping. I get a lot of home office and home occupations that start out mowing lawns, and they're very good at what they do, so they grow. And they're mowing the lawn, and they see somebody delivers topsoil, and they say, "Oh, I could do that." And then they go out and they get a dump truck. Dump trucks aren't allowed in residential districts. I'm getting a lot of them lately, and they are allowed in the zoning regs. And I don't know if that's anything you even want to consider, but I'm just telling you, they morph from lawn mowing and plowing into rocks and gravel and sand and anything else. And employees.
Yeah, you start getting, one truck, two trucks, what could be, two brothers mowing the
That's
lawn
more
and
than a
having a
home.
little trailer on their property and taking phone calls and doing a small business. Then you start getting the dump trucks, you start getting people bringing back leaves and chips
Well,
and
then they're
logs,
beyond-
and you see it
they're
in the
beyond the
yards
home
and storing
occupation.
things. And then the neighbors start complaining, this is a residential neighborhood.
Yep.
So what
If you go on
mechanism-
See Click Fix, you'll see a few of those.
If they exceed like a home occupation, then what mechanism do you have to go back after them?
Dump trucks are not allowed in a residential district. They're only allowed if there's being work performed. If you were
Right.
having some lawn work done and, you needed something dug out, there'd be a dump truck.
Right.
But you can't,
Well,
You
the commercial vehicles aren't allowed in the
Yeah,
residential.
yeah, peripherally, we go with the commercial vehicle regulations, you're allowed one commercial vehicle under a certain gross vehicle weight, and then, usually when they go above just a little trailer hitch to their pickup truck, then it starts violating that, and we can cite them on the commercial vehicle regulations. But I think Ginny's issue is should we be allowing landscaping contractors at all as a home occupation? And should we be a little bit more specific as to what the limits of that is? Because right now, anyone can come in and say, I do landscaping out of my
change
garage,
the-
all I got is a mower and a trailer.
Well, maybe
And
that's
that's-
what you change the definition from
Yeah.
landscaping to lawn mowing, which would limit what you do.
because it's very hard to track motor vehicles now. I can't go to the police and ask them to look something up for me because it's a fee. And
Between town departments?
they have to go on the state
Oh.
website and they get charged each
The
time they go
state
on.
charges the towns?
That's my understanding.
Well, that's a
I
nice
believe so. I
arrangement.
believe it's become more difficult for towns to.
And
I used to be able to go to my police department when I was in Westport, and any kind of zoning investigation and run someone's plate.
Yeah.
When I was doing illegal home occupations and things like that. but
I
that
can
doesn't
get,
happen anymore.
I can get motor vehicle, person, you people pay motor vehicle taxes. I can look it up and see what's registered under your name. But there's a lot of them that do pickup trucks and then modify them. They buy the bed and then they put a dumping mechanism on them. So it's just something to think about. And that's it for me. Can I answer any questions or help in any way?
Questions?
No.
Just one on your monthly report. You have 110 Middle Road, pool sales, covers, and sales and installation. How about storage and sales?
Supposedly, it's all off-site. He has it shipped to the owners where he's going to do the job.
So a customer has to go online and see, is that what it?
No. He sells the pool to the customer, but he doesn't he goes to the stocking place, gets the pool and brings it over and installs it. Unless it's an in-ground pool, and then he does it from scratch.
Yeah.
It says pool cover sales and installation. So I was just wondering.
Installation of the cover or installation of the pool?
Oh, okay, well, let me look into that and I'll have
I
it.
don't know, I just said.
I talked to the guy in the counter, I think because I asked him whether it's all, he gets the supplies and takes them directly or has them delivered to the house where he's gonna do the
So he has no
installation.
Just the
sales room
covers?
and no
He doesn't have
storage?
anything, at least he's claiming all he does has a phone number,
Covers or pools? What's he doing?
covers,
Just covers,
I
okay.
believe.
But how does the customer just go say, give me a pool?
I'll
Or a cover?
Pool cover.
But they don't see it? I mean,
It's a phone and I believe catalog and
Catalog.
internet. It's probably an
Covers get
internet
holes in
business
them,
that,
So you order a new one.
a lot of people start up internet
right.
businesses.
It's like
I just
Leslie
wondered,
Pools.
all right,
They send
okay.
postcards out to pool
Okay.
people. And I'm assuming that nothing's going on with the chickens tonight?
No.
Kevin?
no, I think we're finally maybe coming to a conclusion because I think it was some verbiage and some of the way, for example, when we've had some zone changing or whatever, we've always had redlined or lined out and then what they wanted in, and you could follow it down through, and this was all, we
okay.
couldn't figure out what was going
Right.
on, and we misinterpreted what he was trying to do, and he didn't know what we were trying to do.
Right. So basically, he made some good points, and then I wanted to ask him because some of the points that he brought up, if we just changed the name,
Yeah?
then that wouldn't have affected the definition. But
Okay.
because we used the name that was already in our book,
Okay,
that was like the domino effect. So we need to meet
okay,
and go over it and then meet with him.
okay.
So we'll do that.
Anything else?
Yeah, questions on your September zoning log. 2 Victory, is that the one you're just talking about?
No, but, well, that's one of them. What he came in for a home office. And what happened was, he has a dump truck. He's parking it somewhere else now, but at that time, he was parking it at his house. And he's parking it correctly, by the way, in a district where it belongs. He was cutting down trees and then bringing them back to a very small yard and dumping them out of his dump truck and then cutting them up. And the neighbors were really being bothered by the noise. And so I got 3 different neighbors complained about it. Took me a while, because you have to go at certain times to see the equipment. So sometimes I'll leave the house early, or sometimes I'm out, so I'll swing by whatever I'm near.
Now, what's the resolution on 491? I guess that would go to Jose. It says Jose's going to discuss it.
Well, he signed a consent order, and I did talk to the town attorney to see what our options were at this time, whether we should submit another cease and desist or not, and Maria had mentioned that at this point, just to turn over the file to the town attorney, because there is a consent order. We shouldn't have to start all over again. He agreed, he signed that he was going to do certain things.
Okay.
And obviously, he's not doing them again. We had neighbors submit 2 pictures of a tractor trailer or a truck, 3 in the morning, delivering items to the house, and basically on the cul-de-sac,
Yeah,
fairly
it's a-
residential neighborhood, so, and that was certainly not acceptable, so
and,
we're going to pursue that through the town
You
attorney's
said
office.
470 is with the town attorney also?
Yeah, I think we got something in the, something to
Is
that.
that in
Yeah, I think
Philadelphia?
Barbara was, Barbara had just transmitted the files down to the town attorney, and I think I
Okay.
just got an email today asking for another file, and we,
So it's a lot of
So
this would solve
so
this
we're-
for the town attorney too, is if when the council hopefully passes a fine resolution. I
right,
think.
so the town attorneys will take it, I assume they'll give them a, last chance letter. The town attorney tends to send out here, one more opportunity before we take it to court.
There's no number on 2 Taylor Road, but is that resolved?
I apologize, I didn't bring my log with me, so
Okay,
what was it?
Illegal conversion?
it's an illegal conversion. Well-
Oh, it's still outstanding.
And somebody living in a basement.
Yes, the people in the basement were being evicted, so they came in. That's how 90% of it is found. And they had a court judgment that they could stay there for so many months. And
And then you have another one at 460 Taylor Road, renting
Yes.
rooms.
yes, that one's still going on. That one in several towns.
Okay. And I see them all the time too, CBS and their trucks.
I don't understand why they just don't come in for a building or, modify their building so they could have more storage.
Well, if I recall, when they came in, we were talking about how the storage anyhow, they do have basements. So
Obviously, they, they feel a need for these things, for these seasonal.
most of the time
uses,
they've got 2, and a lot of times they're blocking access.
Well, I thought they were renting them out to people, they're using them
No.
for storage.
No, they're
Oh, yeah,
using
they're
it for their own,
storage.
for seasonal
Yeah.
uses.
Well, it was a rental business.
No.
Oh, no, they're there total all the time. I don't even see
did get
them move.
compliance once because I sent it to the regional office, but they just come back,
Well,
cite them and they take them away. and they
Again,
come back.
if and when the town, council decides to pass this fine ordinance,
Yep.
maybe we'll get some attention from CBS.
Okay,
Okay, that's all.
thank you.
And thank you very much. The sign review checklist, and oh boy,
I have one thing that may be out of order.
well, but you're never out of order, Charlie.
Sometimes. We discussed last week, right at the end of the meeting, a little bit about changing the ordinance for non-conforming lots having house fires and that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I got an email from Mrs. Higley that you weren't too thrilled with changing that.
Well, no, she sent it, so yeah, you
Yeah.
can ask her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I understand that, but we wanted to, it was supposed to be on the agenda tonight and it didn't make it. Can we get it on the agenda?
It's on the agenda, application, look at your applications we received.
Well,
XCA,
are you changing it?
yeah, I've submitted an application to
You're
the
going to have a
commission.
lot of empty lots.
Well, I think what was suggested, and there was an email
Well,
that
we were just
followed, I
supposed to be
don't know if you got a
discussing it
copy.
first, but-
Well, no, I thought you guys said, go ahead and draft something.
Yeah, we
and
did at the
start to set
time.
out the CROG, so I mean, it's a commission initiative, so you don't have a time frame. I just figured at least get it out to CROG, get comments going, that way we can, if you want to
Yeah,
schedule for,
I'd like to
you
get
withdraw it
her input
anytime you
on it.
want.
I think for what the email that followed from Lori was very good, because it does hurt during the month of August when we don't meet.
Well,
And
I
maybe-
think
Possibly
Lori
9
is the
months would
first
be-
one that's ever come in August, and I know for a fact, if it's that urgent, you will meet as a group.
Well, yeah, we do. This group does. I
It's-
don't
You
know.
know, I tend to believe 6 months is way too much. I think 1 year is probably, given, back when things were simpler, you wrote these regulations, insurance companies
Yeah.
pretty much acted quicker. Right now, there's so much investigation going on, and I think 6 months is just almost an impossible timeframe for people to comply. And
Well, we'll take,
Yeah.
and a year, I agree. I think if you did it more than 1 year, then people would have an incentive to sort of
Well,
delay,
it's
and
on
you
the
might end
agenda,
up
we'll
with
discuss it. Don't
Right.
have-
we're
I
looking,
hope
but I think, you know.
We'll get some good discussion.
Yeah, because I'll bring in the actual paperwork, because since
Yeah.
I went through the process,
On the
you know,
agenda for next
when
week.
these were
next
in,
meeting.
my point was, I don't believe that you had to do all the environmental testing that you do now, which then delays the process a little bit farther. And then it's different if it's a structure that doesn't have utilities, water, you know, like if it's somebody's garage that's behind their house, it might have a different timetable because you don't have to go to the power company, the water company, and the utilities. But if it's a residence house, it's a little bit more cumbersome.
I agree. It's a,
Okay, well,
Or even
since
a
it's on the
business.
agenda, then we'll have a good discussion on that then.
Okay.
It's on the
Thank you.
application.
I have a
to be
question for
received.
Ginny.
Sure.
I'm sorry that I don't know the number, but that yellow house on Abbey Road, after the intersection of
200?
Abbey,
Is it 200?
is it
Yeah, I
200?
think so. The grass is about
Yeah.
as deep as
The
broken
grass has got to be
trees.
3 feet tall. The house is
Nobody's lived there in a
vacant.
year.
Oh, yes.
I can't believe the neighbors haven't complained about
They
that.
have to property maintenance, and property maintenance is working on it. It's been foreclosed on, it's empty. I don't know if they're, doing the mowing and leaning yet.
That house has been like that for months now.
Oh, I know.
It takes them
I
a
know.
while, that's the
It's
problem.
kind of a shame because it's a cute little house. Somebody will buy it and fix it up.
Broken branch from the snowstorm is still there. Or the
Well,
house.
no, as usual, your reports are great. They're concise and really informative, and I, for one, appreciate it.
Me too, nice
On
job.
the sign violations and your investigations, it's been great. Thank you.
Okay.
Too much.
Okay, Director of Planning.
okay, speaking of the fines ordinance, you have on your table, I think I sent everyone an email, a draft of the fines ordinance that was given to me by the town manager, I guess through the town attorney's office, forwarded through the town attorney's office, and I guess the council's ready to
on the-
at least consider this, and if there's no objections, I think the only language that was taken out from our draft that I could see was the one about having, three-person panel for citation hearing officers that were made up of the zoning board of appeal members. And I believe the town attorney had said that that was not, in keeping with what the statutes required. And the other thing was, we had put something in there saying, protecting the town, the zoning enforcement officer and other staff from any liability. As you may recall, the statutes said that the zoning officer would be liable for treble damages if it was found that they acted capriciously and frivolously. Well, the legislature finally, after, I think, since 1996, when that law was first passed, has finally taken that section out of the state statutes, effective October 1st. So basically, that section is not needed anymore. The legislature took care of that and took that out of there. So those are the only two changes that I could see in the fines ordinance. If everything's fine, I can report back to the town manager, you have no objections. It could get on, at least for discussion, at least as early as I believe, the meeting of the 15th, or whenever they meet that Monday. So it looks like there's some movement on it. And, just note that we did send it to them back in September of last year was when it was transmitted.
Just FYI, Kathleen and I did not get a copy of it in our thing, but I got it via email. but we're
You
using
didn't get
Charlie.
this in your,
Yeah, I got it.
it wasn't in your thing today? I'm sorry. Did everybody, did others get it?
I did
I
not.
got an email, but
And,
not-
I mean, okay.
Alan's, you could think.
It's fine.
You can have my copy.
No, it's fine, I got it via the
I got-
email, but I
got-
just so that they know.
It should have been a double-sided one. And punched, hopefully.
Okay,
If,
looks all right to me. I have, I think they changed the committee that it would be assigned, which is all right. It doesn't make too much a deal. In fact, I think that was more a ZBA idea than.
Yeah, I think that's just in keeping with the statutes that,
Right.
the enabling statutes that the state put out for this type of an ordinance. The other thing also, just to follow up on what Ginny was saying and what Commissioner Ballard was saying on blight, I know Sergeant, you may have known that Sergeant Santinella had retired from the police department as traffic safety officer. He's now been hired as the part-time light enforcement officer, so we have and is going through some training, and they've also assigned an additional former police officer. As you may know, there were 3 part-time temporary police officers working on Blight during the summer, and they did quite a job in tackling the workload, that's out there.
I saw several legal ads recently concerning blight in the
Right.
paper.
So they've been diligently working, so that money ran out for that. I think the council approved some additional funds so in addition to hiring Sergeant Santinella, the town will also have another part-time officer, I believe, for temporary, till probably the winter, when things tend to quiet down, and snow makes everything look beautiful again.
That's true.
So,
The one on School Street where the tarp they put on the roof is blown off now, so the shingles are blowing in the street.
That house is a mess. I go by that quite
and
often.
again, if people see that, there's a new, you can go on our webpage, there's a program called See-Click Fix, and if you go on there and track, you can even look at issues and,
I did once, and they're very fast. In fact, I think for
And,
the one
they
complaint,
get-
it had, I got about 4 emails back. One
Yeah.
immediately that they received it, and so on and so forth. It's very good.
anything from potholes or,
Well,
Luckily, they don't want to
actually,
take on the banks.
if you put it into, I think you might get better service if you go to this, the
that
net.
See-Click Fix tends to get, because people get direct emails,
Yeah,
and you need to acknowledge it, and it's monitored by the manager and assistant town manager and council. Anybody can go on there and comment and say, vote, so you can see a problem instead of saying, well, geez, a reporter, I want to, if you go on there and you see that someone's already reported it, you can just click on it, that you're also interested, and they'll send you, and if, if Ginny goes out, I know on one case, she went out and actually worked well. She had the wrong address. It was 11 St. Thompson. She went out to 11 St. James or something, and we posted pictures and said, look, we don't see any violations. Someone actually said, well, because it's 11 St. Thomas, so afterwards we were able to go out there and actually take some additional photographs. So there's good interaction between,
yeah, it is.
it's a good way to interact between staff and people who have issues, or, like I said, it's anything from potholes to a light that's out. That gets pretty quick attention if you notice, police items,
Yes.
and they're very good at monitoring that website.
It's good if you're computer literate, but I'm not really.
But
I was able
if
to
you know
use it
what, if you
once,
call
so
it, if you
I don't
call
know.
it into the blight officer, I mean, I don't know if it gets onto See-Click Fix or not, but,
Yeah, it does,
But I
because
mean, if you're computer literate, you can put it on your smartphone.
You got a dumb phone.
There's an application that See-Click Fix for Town of Enfield. You can take a picture and automatically post the picture and the location, because these things have a GPS in them. And, these phones have a GPS, so if you take a picture of it and send it to See-Click Fix, it'll automatically map it on a Google map.
Will they buy me the phone?
So we're looking at pins saying, here's the problem. So it's for those that have that ability, it's a good tool to get their information out to the town.
okay.
Let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention, we did have final interviews yesterday for consulting firms to do a TiVo study. I think we got one firm that stood out. The top 2 firms were very good. I think we all thought we could work with both of them. I think there was consensus on one firm, and once I get the okay from finance, they have to check all the paperwork and all the tally sheets, and once they tell me, okay, I'll be able to announce who that firm is and begin negotiating a scope of services and contract to get the study done for Thompsonville zoning, and
But there was nobody from zoning on the commission.
that's
Okay.
it for me, if you have any questions.
No. Any questions for Jose? Hearing none, we'll move along to public participation. At this point in the meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission welcomes comments, concerns, and opinions relating to planning and zoning in Enfield from anyone who is present, provided no one may discuss any matter of business at this time that's already elsewhere on the agenda, any matter that's part of an open public hearing of the commission, or any matter where a decision of the commission may be pending. Is there anyone would like to address the commission? Anyone would like to address the commission? Last call to address the commission. Hearing none, we'll move on then to correspondence. You have September 18th, inland wetlands and water courses. And I see also they have a problem, they weren't getting ART minutes, so I guess they were kept in the dark. Interesting. Okay.
You skipped that, Jose, huh?
Well, it's in the minutes. You have Capital Region Council of Governments. It's a referral from Town of Suffield. They're concerning change on open space, whatever that may be. Department of Transportation, it's very interesting. I can't read the whole thing, but what it does concern is the safety to the school and the State Traffic Commission dealing with the correct public safety school and all their requirements. And as you know, we had to take something out of ours, and if you read these regulations, that's why. Actually, we should have had this when we were asked to take the requirement out. It's quite inclusive, so they put them through. They sent a copy to Sergeant Santanola, but, okay. It gives all the conditions for Route 5. And you had on your desk tonight referrals from the various towns to Prague, and we are down there for proposed zoning regulation amendment regarding non-conforming structures and uses.
I have something.
Yes, well, let me get on to, okay, any further thing, Jose, on communication we didn't have?
Just a note on that Land Use Academy, Advanced Overview and Course Descriptions, and it's coming up in November. I need a count so I can get a, is any, I think Commissioner Dryden was interested, but he wasn't quite sure. If anyone else is, please let me know. I think I have at least 2 ZBA members, and I don't know whether someone from Inland Wetlands was also interested, but I have 2 ZBA members that are interested in going, and Ginny's going to go. For staff, I won't be in town, so unfortunately, I'd love to go to one of those courses to see how, what they, what.
Okay, anyone? Okay, then
Lori,
let's
I
go
think,
on.
had a
Commissioner
interest also, so.
correspondence.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I met at the Thompsonville Revitalization Strategy meeting on September 27th, and Peter Brightonton, the Director of Community Development, had applied for a $300,000 housing rehab grant that was granted to the town of Enfield. And it's a great program, but the beauty of it was that it was a town-wide housing rehabilitation program. And it was done through the Loan Review Committee, and it's income eligible, but it was mainly given for health and safety issues, so leaky roofs, new furnace, things like that. So Peter wanted to make sure that the townspeople knew that this was out there and that they could start applying for this grant for issues to rehab like areas of their houses if was needed.
It's a wonderful program. I served on Loan Review for quite a while, and you know, for people that are single parents and the furnace goes out or something like that, or the roof is leaking, it's a wonderful program, and they should get in touch with
Right.
Peter.
Yeah, and it is income eligible, but he mentioned, and I don't know all the qualifications, but it was like $65,000 for a family of 4, and it could be for like roof windows, you know, smoke, safety concerns, fire, things like that. So it's definitely worth getting out there, and it was really great that he took the time to fill out the grant and that we actually got it for the entire town.
Yep,
That was all I had.
thank you very much. And I hope people out there are listening and they make use of that. Anyone else, correspondence? You did on the house there on School Street. Okay.
That's an ongoing thing.
I know, but it does get worse, and that tarp I notice is blown off.
Wait for it to blow on a road on somebody's traffic.
Okay, bond release, you have none. And we're going on now to public hearing 2769. If the secretary will read the legal notice and take the roll.
The Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings on Thursday, October 4th, 2012, beginning at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. Public hearing 2769, petition for a zoning map change from residential 44 R44 to limited office LO for a 2.19 plus or minus acre lot located between 9 Shaker Road and 19 Shaker Road. Map 64, Lot 106. Jeffrey Fallault is the applicant, and Jeffrey, Michael, and Joseph Fallault are the owners. And this notice was published in the Journal Enquirer on September 22nd, 2012, and September 27th, 2012. Roll call, Charles Duran.
Here.
Elizabeth Ballard.
Here.
Peter Falk here. Kathleen Sarno.
Here.
Lori Longi.
Here.
Nicholas Afakis.
Here.
Charles Ladd.
Here.
Ronald Gregory. Alan Drynan. Dominic Alamo.
Again, I remind you that this is a hearing for a zone change, and the use would be anything that is allowed in a limited office zone, and that is contained on the memo from Jose that's dated September 27th of items that would be allowed in that, and the comments and should be just to zone change. Is the applicant here, and would they come forward? Identify yourselves, please.
Evening, everyone. I'm Mike Filio. I'm one of the co-owners. I'm Jeff.
Your address too, please, sir.
Sure. It's 213 Granby Road, Chicopee, Massachusetts.
Jeff Filio, 17 Falcon Crest, Enfield, Connecticut.
And sir, if you could continue on with your proposal or your request.
We're petitioning the town to change a piece of residential property to a limited office space. I've had a couple of meetings with Jose to find out exactly what that means and everything. I'm sure you have on the memos there where special permit use for professional business offices, medical offices, government offices.
Yes, it is a special permit use.
Yes.
However, because of location, myself, I would prefer to have it as a public hearing. And would suggest that it be a public hearing.
No, they are public hearings. Special
They- I
permit
mean,
uses
well,
are
they-
automatically
okay, I'm
public
sorry.
hearings, though.
I thought it was
It's
an
site plans
SPR.
that
Okay,
normally don't,
yeah.
but everything in the limited office would be a special permit, public hearing
Okay, okay.
use.
Just make
To
sure.
be able to put it in there, so when there was a specific proposal for the
Okay.
development of that lot, it would have to go to public hearing and noticed appropriately.
Is that the end of your presentation? Because I hate to lead you, but you want to give location for the commission and the public, because you are on TV and people are listening.
Well, basically, right now, we're just so limited as to what we can do with that property that with the LO, it'll allow us to further pursue the other options that are out there. But we're just...
All right, okay, that's true. It does give you, I see, about business professional offices, financial institutions, except drive-in facilities are prohibited. That would take care of a bank with a drive-in. Medical offices, government offices, and you're limited to business hours, you're limited to lighting. And it does concern some construction and of course, your parking. Also, as you probably have read, that the town safety officer has already said he would be concerned about traffic too in the area. So I'm just trying to, your location of your building you haven't gone into, and I guess I'll do that for you. It's on Shaker Road between Ganny Terrace and there's a lot, and then I believe it's the Henry Barnard School property.
It's, right across from Walgreens, I believe is noted in my memo. The use is across the street. You have a daycare center, and then there's as you look on the map that was submitted with the application, it's marked R20. I believe that's a single-family house, and behind that, I
I think
believe...
that single family's for sale, or has
Yeah.
had a sign for a while.
And it's, behind that is town open space. That R22 parcel is open space that was donated by the Walgreens. And then, I think that's all zoned industrial across, except for the
I
Walgreens
think it's
parcel.
industrial up to,
The whole triangle.
yeah, the whole triangle is.
Triangle there, yeah.
Except for the Walgreens. I think the Walgreens had a zone change to business local.
There was the sign posted, correct? on
Yes.
this? Okay.
Yes, there was.
All right,
Sign has
just-
been there.
I haven't got, I know where the location is, but didn't drive by it. Just-
Yeah, there has been a sign out there.
Okay.
Well, it's been out
At the
there.
time, yeah, Barbara
Okay.
gave it to me, all the application, everything was done.
Questions for the applicant?
No question for Jose.
Sure.
Okay, well,
Back when that section of the ordinance was created, limited office, it was, I believe, for a stretch of land on Elm Street, and I didn't know where that stretch started and where it ended, and whether this was included in the original.
I noted in my memo that this showed up on the
You weren't here.
1999 Plan of Conservation Development. There was a transitional zone that an area that sort of said that from here to here would be a transitional zone. I believe, I do have the plan.
say, my memory is it was proposed, but the public
Right.
were entirely against it, or the
And then the
people
commission
there
came in and tried to rezone that whole area as that area that was identified, but
Didn't
then
want
there was opposition from the neighborhood, so the commission withdrew their application and basically said, we're going to consider this on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
We've had one
Right.
apply,
Yeah.
which we did, which was the
State
It was
Farm.
a success, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was a successful.
It is.
It was the Allstate office. Again, this area technically was not in the extent of that, but I believe you can consider whether it meets the criteria if you look at the narrative as to where this applies.
I
Because your
know,
pla-
I know.
The 2000,
This one,
the latest plan of development didn't show any transitional zone because last time we did it,
People got upset.
people were upset. But there's still regulations in the books that basically says you can consider this on a case-by-case basis, whether the particular lot that's coming in meets the criteria that you believe. And in this case, you do have BL across the street, you have frontage on a very busy state highway. And so, I could see getting beyond, if it ever got beyond the Washington Road, you're starting to get a little bit more stable residential. I
Right.
think, and from that point on, you're getting a lot of traffic.
You have, I think the original, we were stopping at Ganny Terrace with the proposed one,
yeah.
as I recall.
I
But
do have it here on the old plan.
Actually, there's an older house, that L30, which will leave that as a signal there, and then you've got the school, and I believe then after the school is the funeral parlor, Buddy Brown's funeral parlor.
Right.
And then on the corner, you have the farm stand or the Olette's home.
Let me just find that map for you.
Yeah.
Have two of them, there's one across the street from it, too. Farm stand.
Oh, Gigi's.
Or Gigi's,
Yeah.
right, but that's all in the industrial, that's on the other
Yeah,
side.
it looks like it stopped just past the college, just before the the apartments there that you see on, the apartments that you see on Exhibit 10? See that big lot that has a whole bunch of apartments? Well, the transitional zone
Yeah.
originally stopped there. And I'll show it to you, but it's hard to read at that scale. It's so small. This is literally
That's up here.
a little red strip here that stopped where those apartments are. See that? Just transitional. This was a very, very narrow, small strip that stopped.
Yep,
Right
right next to
there.
the condos. Yeah.
Yeah, right at the condos.
Okay, for the
intersection.
L condos, yeah.
Yeah,
See it right
That's,
there?
yeah, right.
That's
so
just
it's like here.
barely visible
Yep,
at
yep.
that scale.
Yeah.
Stopped right there.
Yeah, okay.
Condos,
I mean,
Yeah.
because that's after that.
Yeah.
I mean,
this
it
is the-
seems to
this-
be an
this is all
area
commercial
of-
anyway.
It
and-
really does. I mean,
Yeah.
no one's gonna put a residential home there, you know, I mean.
No, that's,
Yeah, it's a very tough-
four-lane
Yeah, it's a
road
very
there.
tough spot.
If you've been on this,
The person that bought it previously, his intention was to put a place of worship on there, I believe. What was it,
Correct.
Reverend McCormick?
That's right, Steve McCormick.
I think he, because I remember him coming in and before he bought that piece, was asking about the rules for places of worship. And so that was the intent originally for that parcel.
There's been a sign up there for sale for a very long time.
He's moving.
Okay, any more questions for Jose or the applicant? I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public would like to speak in favor or against this application? Yes, sir, if you'll make room for the gentleman, and you'll have an opportunity. If you will, please give your name and address for the record.
My name is Francis Latwinis. I live at 113 Brainerd Road. I own the property at 19 Shaker Road. And I'm here to speak against this application to the fact that I was one of the former owners of this property, and I still own the adjoining property to it. There's quite a few issues with the property that I know of. And one of them is there's a very high water table there. The house that I own next door is always got water there. It's a
Mr.
low
Martinez,
elevation.
as I said before, that really doesn't enter into a zone change. It might
Well, I think
enter
it
into-
involves the zone change because of the fact that it's issues with the property, and I don't think it should be rezoned for a business purpose or an office purpose. I think it should be left residential. I have nothing wrong with it being residential. My fear is that you get a commercial building there, it's gonna be too big, too heavy. It's a low elevation property, and there are no sewer lines in that road there either. And I have a septic tank in that house I own, and I don't want it to be interfered with the property being developed. Those are my concerns. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the development of the property, which is the zone change.
Okay,
All right?
tied that in, yes, sir. I don't know where the sewer line goes, but that again is something that engineers take
It
care of.
goes through the back of the school.
That really isn't. Sure, yes, you're welcome to.
At the time we bought the property, the fellow is right, there is no sewer lines going in front, but if you go down to the corner, you got the Walgreens, where Elm Street splits there, there's a sewer line there. And we looked into that area there, which we would have to talk to, I've talked to a couple construction people, Hinckley, a couple of them, where they can run out to the road there along the side and hook into that sewer line there.
Well, that's why I said that usually it ends up, the zone change, that's one reason there was problems with the prior application, the one that built, I believe it was apartments or some kind of large buildings up towards George Washington Road or in this L230 area.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we ended up with Walgreens, because they just couldn't with all,
But right on the corner there, we looked into it, there's off of
But all that gets
Granny Road, there's a
solved
sewer
out.
line there, we could run.
That all
and that's what we-
gets solved out with the Wetlands Commission and your engineering, or whoever does the engineering.
Right.
Determines whether it's buildable or not buildable. It's not
Right.
really ours.
Ju-
Right.
Just to speak to the building sizes, because it's not in that section, but if you, under business districts, the notes to the tables, there is a maximum single building size. Well, this lot has more than 200 feet of frontage, so it would be allowed, the maximum that could be permitted would be about a 4,000 square foot. And it'd have to be pitch roof, residential style, well, not residential, but obviously
Right.
more typical New England style building than couldn't be a strip mall, it couldn't
Right.
be anything that produced any kind of noise, or, again, the hours would be very restricted,
8 to 8.
and with no lighting after hours and things like that. So it's the transitional zone was designed to sort of try to blend in as much as possible with surrounding
Okay, 'cause-
areas. But again, we don't know what the site plan.
Right.
I don't think we have a proposed use, so we don't know what the
No,
intensity of the site
that's the
would.
problem. That's why
And
I
that would be
said
the
at the
subject of
beginning, we
another
can't-
public hearing to determine whether the site could support that type of development.
Right. At that time, we would.
That's what I
Oppose.
said.
They
That's
would
what I
have to
said at the
get,
beginning.
soil
We're
scientists out there
strictly
and determine.
zone
I don't think
change.
it shows as a
Okay,
wetlands.
questions, any further questions?
Yeah, I just had one, because I wasn't around when the limited office zone came in. But the intent, was it to keep in the look of the residential zone, but to allow, like, for a simple office in that zone, that the person didn't have to live in the house, so to speak? Was that?
Correct.
Okay.
And to address the problem that we were seeing on Elm Street, that with a
Okay.
lot of little office, there's a dentist there, there's a quote-unquote home occupation, it started getting more and more commercial, and people really couldn't sell their houses
Okay,
for-
that, okay.
as residential, so they ended up, as the State Farm building did, with an absentee landlord. We had all sorts of problems with people there with drugs and garbage and things like that. And I think there was a sort of addressed those transitional areas that were being impacted by the roadway and the commercial around them, to the point where they
And it
weren't
was also
they weren't marketable anymore as residential units. So
It was also to protect the
and
residential.
protect the residents. So we said, okay, no drive-throughs.
Right.
It has to
Okay.
look as much as possible. We gave most buildings, a single building is up to 2,000. We try to encourage people to consolidate business, so there wouldn't be as many, we were concerned about curb cuts on Elm Street, the safety of cars exiting out there. So we said if you consolidated your lots and had 150 feet or more of frontage, then you could have twice the size that normally less, or up to 4,500, I believe, up to 5,000 square feet for lots of record and more than 200 feet of frontage. So part of the idea was to limit the number of driveways coming out onto Elm Street, because we felt that was a very dangerous situation,
Right.
to have all those driveways coming out, especially for residential.
And also, like, if you, the thing there, the safety officer did a survey, looked at the thing, where, people pull out, they want to be pulling out, be kind of like Five Guys, you can only pull one way, not shooting across the street, safety concerns like that.
When
Well,
we
that's
came
all
in for the
addressed,
site.
yeah, that's
that'll
why I
be-
said
that'll
at the
be down the
beginning, we
road.
can't
Right.
get
Okay, fair
into
enough.
these other discussions. We got to stay with just
The
the zone
zoning,
change.
right.
In fact, the Five Guys on the south side, that was also residential before that last.
Right.
And the commission changed that to straight business, because it was on the south side and backed up to all those businesses on Palumba and the college. So that was just rezoned straight to
Okay.
business local.
Since they've had a chance, anyone else in the audience would like to speak in favor or against? Anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in favor or against? Last call to speak in favor or against. Hearing none. Jose, any reason to keep it open?
Nope.
Hearing none, then I'll close public hearing 2769.
Make a motion to accept public hearing 2769. Approve public hearing 2769, a petition for a zoning map change from residential 44 to a limited office for a 2.19 acre lot located between 9 Shaker Road and 19 Shaker Road. Map 64, lot 106. Jeff Reef Fillet and Michael Fillet.
Filio.
Thank you.
It's a
That's
tough one.
noted.
Yeah.
You got it?
Second.
Yeah.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion?
No, Charlie jumped in. Yeah,
Okay, I'm
as,
sorry.
okay, referring to a memo dated September 27th by Jose Geiner with,
No conditions on the zone,
conditions.
but an
Yeah.
effective date of October 22nd. We have to set an effective date. I didn't hear it.
September 20, what did you say?
The effective date of the zone change would be October 22nd.
The effective date of the zone change would be October 22nd.
Okay, that's
Second
seconded.
again.
I intend to vote for this because I think for the usage and for that area, it's a proper usage, considering that from there up to George Washington really is that type of a zone-limited office, or the usage there, the funeral parlor, the school, and really a farm stand. So there aren't, and across the street, so it's that type of a area, and it's really
Yeah.
fits into this transitional area.
I think way back when, we decided that that was probably the best use for that property because it would be light business. And hopefully it wouldn't really increase the traffic that much.
And it shouldn't disturb the neighbors.
Yeah, and it would be quiet business.
Okay, if you're ready to vote, all in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous, 700. We'll see you again, I guess,
Yes. Very well.
for your application.
Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yay.
Okay, moving on to new business. There's old business, none, new business. SBR 1571, gas-powered standby generator located existing concrete pad, 240 South Road, IP District, map 46, lot 38, A.S. Hinkin Associate applicants, First Pioneer Farm Credit, ACA owners.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, at this time, it'd probably be appropriate to entertain a motion to go out of order and accept applications because the application is being accepted tonight, so we should probably accept it before we
Thank you.
consider it. So if someone wants to make a motion to go out of order and take applications to be received first, we'll receive the applications, and there's, I think, two items on the agenda that are being received tonight.
I'll make a motion to go out of order.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. We go out of order. And the items is to take application to be received at this point. Public hearing 2770, a permit demolition of a duplex, 53 Windsor Street.
This is that area that we rezoned. If you recall, Mr. Fromek came in and has now has an application and to demolish the structure. Didn't realize that once you changed it to Topsville Village Center, it requires a special permit to demolish any building. And there's an accompanying site plan that's later on to be received.
Okay, so when does that go on the date?
You have October 18th and November 1st as available hearing
Okay, put
dates.
it on the 18th.
Okay. And we
Special
do-
permit, site plan, outside patio, backyard bar and grill. Okay. They have one, but I guess they don't have a permit for it, because Friendly would had one.
They just had a little table out, one table out there, but they want to actually do a formal patio that they can serve
We have
food and
nothing
drink.
else on the 18th, so,
Well, we do have something on the 18th. I'm just saying we have that multifamily housing zone change up by Mayfield. The hearing
okay.
for that's on the 18th, but if you want to have,
Yeah, that put this on too. That shouldn't.
try to squeeze everybody in, we'll do that.
Okay, for text change amendment,
This is November 1st.
I suggest a November 1st, just because CROG has to act on it. I think they meet on October 18th, so.
okay, so we go November 1st.
uh,
Site plan reviews, this is that one, okay. We'll do, motion to take this,
No,
we'll
you
do
don't have
that
to-
one tonight. At 1752, we'll do that one tonight.
You mean 1572?
1572, thank you. And SBR 1573, I don't know what that one is.
That's that's the same as the public hearing for the demolishing the duplex. One of the requirements of our regulations is when you come in with a for demolition of a structure, you have to have a site plan for what you're going to do with the lot. At this point, they're just going to propose to rebuild that duplex. I think the long-term plan was, if you recall, was to split the two lots and build two duplexes on there. But at this point, he just wants to get his demolition permit. So per regulation, he has to submit a site plan that shows what's going to happen.
Well,
I
we
think-
don't have to have them at the same time. We could do we could do the demolition on the 18th and do the other one on the 1st.
Doesn't matter. It's up to you. We can put them under
Yeah, I
new
will.
business.
Well, the way it's written in the regulation.
Yeah, I think you almost have to do it, I think you almost have to do it concurrently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do it at
I
the
think you have to
same.
do it concurrently.
All right, do it at the same time, I'm told. Well, when women tell you to do something, you do it, right?
I thought the same thing, but after I read the regulation.
Yeah.
Okay. At the same time, we'll take care of it. Okay, so now that I'm on track, and
Where are we?
1571, 1572, all in favor of moving them to tonight? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, now, will the applicant for 1571 come forward and tell us about your proposal?
I'm gonna recuse myself for this application.
Okay, Dominic Lima will be sitting in for the commissioner. That is excusing yourself. Good evening, sir.
I'm Aaron Henkind of AS Henkind and Associates, 40 Scoville Road Extension, Higganum, Connecticut. And this is for the standby generator for 240 South Road in Enfield. My customer approached us because, as you know, with the storms last fall, they lost power. This is a credit union, and this is their apparently their Northeast headquarters with all their computer servers and other things. So when they lose power for any extent of time, there are major issues. They run multiple branches off of this location, off of all their computer, data center and whatnot. So it was pretty mission critical that they have a backup power system. So we designed a system that was environmentally friendly. It's a lean burn natural gas generator, which would only operate for weekly exercise periods of roughly a half an hour per week, and then any time there's a utility mains failure. So anytime our local utility fails, that generator would be able to run for the duration of that failure, whether it be minutes or whether it be days. So there's an existing concrete pad. There are drawings that we submitted. We would not be performing any site work as far as excavation or whatnot. There's an existing slab that's been in place that had accommodated a bulk storage silo from a previous business that had been at the same location. So what we're asking, I guess, is just Mr. Geiner, I applied for the permits, and I was told that we needed to have zoning approval for this project, so.
Well, thank you. You made a long trip to come up here for this. Huh?
Sure did.
Okay. Questions for the applicant?
No, we just approved one at the last meeting, a generator, didn't we?
Yes,
Several,
two of them,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Is this a gas or gasoline?
Natural gas.
Natural
powered,
gas.
Yes, correct.
Okay. They don't make as much
I was
noise.
going to ask that, do they make more or less noise than a gasoline?
Well,
generator?
actually, this is going to be very quiet because a customer decided to actually add the sound attenuated housing, the highest level of sound attenuation. So it will literally be whisper quiet when it operates. You could hold a conversation in a low tone of voice next to it and hear yourself and hear whoever you're talking to.
Well,
I
Fourth of
need
July
one of those
used
so my
those.
neighbors don't
Yeah.
complain
Yeah.
about our generator.
4th of July used those some year.
I'm a big advocate of everybody, business or personal, having a generator of some sort.
That's a good thing. The advantage of this, as well as, again, clean burning natural gas fuel, and the fact that it is a dry fuel, so there's no chance of a spill, bulk diesel fuel storage or whatnot. in this. So,
You have, and I think was on your desk tonight, pictures of location and diagrams.
Yeah, the only thing that was still up in the air when the packets went out was the fire marshals had requested some additional information, I believe, on In your folder, you have the information that was provided to the fire marshal in terms of location. And I believe there's a letter dated October 3rd from Edward Shirley, which we've stamped Exhibit 9, that basically says they have no concerns with regard to fire safety. And then Exhibit 10 from John Cabibbo dated today. There are no engineering concerns also with this project since it's on an existing slab.
Right.
So,
Ed and John don't have any concerns, and neither do I.
So we're set with everybody. Any further questions for Jose or the applicant? It's a site plan review, so I shall close 1571. Chair will entertain a motion if you so desire.
I'll make a motion to approve site plan review 1571, 240 South Road, Farm Credit Union for a gas generator, as stated in a memo from Jose Geiner, dated September 27th, with 4 conditions.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? 700. Thank you for coming that long way, and hope it was worth your while.
It was, thank you for your
Okay,
time.
thank you.
Night. Drive
Night.
careful.
Will do.
Okay, the applicant, well, let's see, where are we? Yes, we're doing 1572, change of use from vacant to a retail fencing business with existing building located in the Business General BG District, 126 Hazard Avenue, Malcolm Testoni, applicant Kalen Realty LLC, the owners.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself on this.
Okay, we'll miss you. Oh, we get Laurie back. Okay, so now we're changing people out. You don't happen to know the applicant, do you? Is that the reason? Okay, gentlemen, if you'll introduce yourself and give your names and address and tell us what it is you're up to.
Good evening. My name is Malcolm Testoni. I live at 129 West Shore Road, Ellington, Connecticut. And I'd like to open up a retail fencing business located at 126 Hazard Avenue.
James Alimo. I own the property under the name of Kalen Realty LLC, which is a corporation. 9 Meacham Drive, Enfield, Connecticut.
Okay.
Just the old Gasland property?
Yes.
Yeah.
Years ago.
You remember the name? And then I think they had a golf driving range there.
Driving range. And the fireworks stand.
And fireworks.
Yeah, they do fireworks
Yep.
every June.
Okay, we have from Officer Grasso, they needs a handicap parking space, and he has no other issues except for that. It says Jose, or wetlands agent, said it's been referred to the wetlands. Is there a reason now, Jose, that we have to?
Well, yeah, it does have, the reason was, if you look at the map that was submitted, there's wetlands on the property, a short distance from where the plastic greenhouse was proposed to be going. So it did refer it over to wetlands, wetlands on the property, and there was some question as to the, when Jim looked at it, he also was a previous application for a car wash, if you may recall. Some of you might have been on the commission on there. Yeah, the wetlands delineation on the,
Okay.
that was presented at that time was different than the one that's shown on this plan, so Jim had some questions about it. I believe the applicant said he's willing to take out the plastic greenhouse. I mean, in Jim's view, it could be just as a simple thing as an administrative agent approval, but it would need to go to him for an application. But again,
Well, doing it this way, he's can apply for the plastic greenhouse at a later date and go through that process.
Yep, that'd be fine.
all right, I mean, I suggested, if they want to wait a couple of weeks, we could have gone to wetlands at the next meeting, got his agent approval.
Yeah,
and not
right,
have
that's
to
what we talked
Save
about.
himself a $160 site plan application fee to put the greenhouse back in. But the problem is, by state law, if you're approving new construction or new activities, you can't act until as a commission, you can't act
That's why I
until
was
the
wondering, we're
wetlands
all-
reports on it, even
Okay.
if it's just an administrative approval.
So we're within the regulations of,
Well, yeah, he would, he may still, again, Jim may, I don't know where Jim wants to do with this. Again, there was two different delineations, so there's some concern. There's no,
Where the
as long as there's
wetlands
no
are.
disturbance or activity that's within that part.
So much has gone on that
Yeah.
piece of property, I don't know how there's wetlands left.
So.
Yeah, it's,
so-
well,
Not, I don't know.
I could show you the old map is for the car
So he's
wash.
taking the building out, he's taking the
Yeah,
temporary
he could take,
structure
I
out
think I
then.
put that in my conditions too.
Okay.
Yes.
If it becomes an issue, but I can show you.
Okay,
Okay,
so we don't have to worry about it, though,
okay.
right? No, I'm just saying,
More wetlands to
oh,
the difference in the wetlands.
That's the newer map.
That's the newer map, which is flagged and certified. That one doesn't have certification. Shows the wetlands going up closer to the
okay.
well.
So if we approve this,
You'll approve it without.
well,
the-
without this,
Without the
then
greenhouse.
he can do his
right?
thing, go to wetlands if he wants to,
Right.
if he's gonna
At a
do
later
that.
date, when
Right,
he wants
okay,
to.
got it, all right.
This
Good.
gives them a chance to
Fine.
get, the building's there, it's been
Yeah,
there.
the
for-
building's been there, yeah, okay.
Okay. Any questions for the applicants? Hearing none, I will close, let's see, get it.
Site plan review.
Site plan 1572, I was looking for the right number this time.
Okay.
Okay, I closed that
All
hearing.
right, I'll make a motion to waive the full submission requirements of section 9.10.2 because the commission finds that the information is not necessary in order to decide on the application's conformance with these regulations.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the waiver? 700 has passed. Now, before we get to the other, there are going to be 10 conditions. Have you read them? Do you have any problem with them?
No,
No,
not over those.
okay.
No problem.
The Chair will entertain.
I'll make a motion to approve SPR number 1572, site plan approval for the change of use from a vacant to a retail fencing business within an existing building located in the Business General District at 126 Hazard Avenue. Malcolm Testoni applicant, Kalen Realty LLC owner, subject to the conformance with the submitted plans and the following 10 conditions in a memo dated by Jose Guiner on October 4th, 2012.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous, 700. Thank you for choosing
Thank you.
Enfield.
Thank
Good
Good
luck.
luck.
It's should be a good location.
Yes.
Yes,
Great, yeah.
a better use than,
Then fireworks.
Make it nice and pretty, too.
Fireworks and furniture.
Oh, yeah, furniture, I forgot. Okay, moving on. Let's see, I gotta get the chickens here. So we did applicants should be received. We have an informal discussion. Tommy didn't show up.
Nope. I
Guess we get
did
to
ask
go
Barb
home.
if he was
There
notified.
There were
of
two
it.
young ladies out there, what,
they were school.
They were from a high school, and it's one of our requirements for high school diploma was some community to attend the meeting and
Right.
observe.
I
We
think
should
she
make
needed
them
a
introduce
signature to
themselves.
make sure that somebody, so I had got her out there, that's how I
signed
found
it for
out.
her
Yes,
also,
I
that's
should
why
make
she
them.
came up.
Introduce themselves.
discussion of poultry regulations, we've taken care of that, I
Yeah.
think, and we'll
We're
get
good.
that straightened out.
Yeah,
And we've taken
Please.
care of action
Please.
places to be received.
Please get them.
Get it straightened
I will
out.
work on that, I promise.
Well, I see that she's had other complaints, and I have chickens running around on the road as I leave the,
Shoot them.
Right.
shoot them, or run over them. Yes.
Just under other business, if I may, one more item, I think I had brought it up I had talked to the chairman of, as you know, we have a public hearing next meeting for the multifamily housing district zone. Assuming if, you can't assume, but if that it is successful, the applicants will have to file for special use permit. As you may recall or may not recall, under the special development regulations, there's requirements that the applicant have a informal discussion with the commission prior to submitting an application for a special permit. Since they're going to be that evening, they were asking if they can be put on under other business after the hearing to discuss preliminarily their concept. they might have already met that when they met with you way back when.
Put them on like where Tommy
If you
Ragno.
consider that, then we don't have to do.
Jammies.
But I mean, the attorney wants to make sure they follow the procedures to the letter of the law, so they would like to know if they want to be put on at the end of the agenda.
Yeah, that's fine.
For informal, I think you've seen their presentation
Put them
before,
down
so I
like
don't
where
think it'll be
Tommy
very much,
Ragno
but-
would be, but don't put Tommy on again because we don't want to.
No, that night we won't, because we'll have a busy hearing night.
Okay, that's good.
Will you have another
Thank you.
motion any of you want to make? The chair will
Make the
entertain.
motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, just pack up. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good job.